Whether you are an employee preparing for your review or a manager conducting them, this mid year review template works across every industry from tech to healthcare to finance. I'm going to show you exactly how to build a comprehensive review template that makes the process smooth for everyone involved. And if you do want to pick up this pre built template, the first link in the description down below is for you. Now, you will notice on screen, I have built this in Excel. You can build this in other tools as well. It could be a specific software that you use in your organization. But what I'm sharing with you is the full process, and that will ensure that mid-year performance reviews go to plan. Now, you'll see here I do have a summary tab. And what this enables us to do is compare the responses from the employee and also the manager. So now I'm going to open up the employee review tab so you can see the kinds of data points that you are going to want to capture ahead of your mid-year review to best showcase your performance. And once we've looked through this, I'll then show you the manager's review so we can see how this corresponds to it. Now, in terms of creating the template, it's very, very simple. All I've essentially done is just created little content areas by typing in the text and doing a little bit of formatting, so bolding and shading, and then putting boxes or borders around each of the cells to create little content areas. So as an example, this is where you'd put your name, this is where you'd put your position and title, etc. Now, these are all of the elements you are going to want to, all the data points you want to capture for your performance review. You want to clearly define your role and responsibilities. What have you been doing on a day-to-day basis? You also want to document basically any new tasks or adjustments that have been put in motion since your last review. So this will typically be December as of last year. You also want to be able to rate your performance, and you want to be able to do this across a multitude of different performance areas. So it's not just the work that you conduct and provide, but also other areas, things like, your problem solving skills, how adaptable you are, how keen are you to learn, to collaborate and work as a team, your communication skills, taking initiative and accountability, and attendance and reliability. And you also want somewhere to add additional comments. So you're going to give yourself a rating between 1 and 5. Now, 5 being, perform really, really well, 1 area for improvement, etc. But yeah, this is where you can kind of best showcase exactly what you want to say. Now, one of the benefits of completing this mid-year performance review ahead of the meeting is that you can simply, print this off and discuss this as the meeting goes on. You can also share this document with your manager. You can say, I'm working towards my mid-year performance review. This is the template that I have been using, and I'll share the manager's review in a second. So it basically creates a really good review, makes you look like you're taking the initiative. Alternatively, if you are the manager, you can use this for all of your employees. Get them to fill this first, then you conduct your review, and then you can do the kind of meeting. But I'll talk about that as this video goes on. So you basically rate your performance. You also want to document your achievements and challenges. So what are you most proud of within the last 6 months? And what specific skills and knowledge do you think you've gained? You also want to talk about your challenges. It could be a training issue. It could be, new system, new process, and you want to document those here. So this is where you'd be putting that information. You also want to talk about kind of your goals. How do you feel like you're doing against those goals? What kind of progress have you made, perhaps in terms of completion? So it may be that within the last quarter, or the last 6 months, I should say, one of your goals you think is now complete. Well, make it clear that you think that's now complete. Put 100% as an example, and you could put the status as kind of closed out, finished, etc. Comments, just anywhere to add additional comments. Now, you want to suggest new goals for the next 6 months. So what do you think you need to work on next? And that will show great initiative as well. And just document any support you may need, and also how you'll measure your own success against such goals. It's also important to document your development needs. So any training that you're interested in or you think you need to take, any specific support that you're going to need from your manager, and just maybe even somewhere to document your career aspirations within the next 1 to 2 years. Just make it really, really clear what you are looking for within your current role. Now, at the end, it's just a generic content area to provide more of a high-level overview. What do you think is working well in your role? What would you improve about your role, perhaps? And what kind of feedback would you give your manager or team in general? And then at the bottom, just somewhere for additional comments. Now, you can add your signature electronically. You can print this off and sign it, and also date it. But this will ensure that you go into your mid-year performance review covering all the bases. You look like you are, you're taking your job seriously, you're looking ahead, you're mindful of your progress and things like that. It will look really, really good for your manager. Now, as I say, there's also another tab in here for manager's review. Now, this has been set up so that it corresponds exactly like the employee review. So in other words, it's the same process. So instead, it's kind of employee's name, employee's ID, employee's position. Now, you could always just kind of bring this in from here, and then when that's kind of updated, so let's just say Jeremy, and that's there you go. That also pulls into the title there. Then it also comes across. So that's kind of some of the automations you can set up, perhaps beyond the scope of this video, but you get the idea. So this is just essentially a manager's equivalent for them to update for each employee. So they could create, this file could be Jeremy's mid-year performance review template. Jeremy's mid-year performance review, and you could just create a load of files like this. Create this template once, buy this template once, and then you can leverage it across your entire team. But essentially, it's very much the same thing, but just from the manager's perspective. So did the employee meet the key responsibility? Did they have any new roles? If so, what were they since the last review? Again, you're going to want to rate them. And this is where it ties into the summary. So the way this is set up, this is looking, so employee review C17. So this is looking at what the employee entered here, and it pulls it in. And then the manager rating is what the manager documents in here, and then there's a delta, so it's doing a difference. So as an example, let's just say the employee gave himself a 3 here and the manager gave them a 4, then what is essentially going to happen is the difference is 1. Essentially, the manager thinks the work quality is better than the employee. So you got a little, it's a quick way to quickly see how the employee is comparing against the manager's expectations. So I just thought I'd show you that. It made sense to show at that stage of the video. But if we go back to manager's review, again, somewhere to add comments and examples against each one. Also, the manager is going to have their own view on top achievements. What are they? What specific skills or knowledge do you think the employees gained? What's their most significant contribution? What are their biggest challenges that you've observed or noticed or perhaps spotted that maybe they haven't? You need to give, as a manager, this is an assessment of their goals. What were their previous goals? Do you think they met their goals in terms of their achievement against them? Also, what are their recommended goals for the next 6 months? This is really important because you can see the differences between what the employee thinks and what obviously the manager thinks as well. So it's really interesting. Training plan, what specific training is recommended, what mentoring or coaching will you specifically provide as the manager, what stretch assignments will you give them, what career development notes for them do you suggest, and then a final manager assessment. What are their biggest wins, the concerns, risks about them, support you'll give them, and additional comments. And again, at the bottom, content areas to sign it off and date it. Now, as I say, this template is available for instant download, link in the description below, but it provides a great framework and process. As I say, it makes sense for the employee to fill this out first, then they can send it to the manager can review this, and then they can populate this. Alternatively, you can both populate your own sheets in your own time, and then you can meet up and discuss your kind of responses to both of them. It just enables such a good, positive mid-year performance review meeting. So I hope this video was useful. Any questions, comments, feedback, drop them down below. As I say, the summary tab provides the high-level overview, but you can delve much deeper into this once you start running the process. With that said, over to you. Best of luck with your mid-year performance review, whether you're an employee or a manager, and I hope you have an excellent day.